Welcome back to Low Stress Math with Mrs. Bono. We are in Chapter 4, Lesson 4, and page 6 in your packet. So the warm-up. Use your notes from Lesson 2 to list 4 different ways we can represent relations. So turn off the computer, actually pause the video and answer the question. And when you come back, I'll go over it. Okay, I hope you looked up your answers. They are just 2 pages back on page 4. And where is it on page 4? It's right here. There are 4 ways to represent functions. So I would look at this little box here. There's ordered pairs, mapping diagrams, tables, and graphs. Ordered pairs, mapping diagrams, tables, and graphs. To keep my head in the game. Here we go. So, the first way is ordered pairs. And then there was mapping, diagrams, there was a chart, like a table, and there was also a graph. Okay, now we're going to talk a little bit about what is a function. We're going to do some identifying functions. And a function is basically a machine, like any other machine, where you put something in, the machine does its job, and you get something out. So I've done some examples here. My examples are, the machine is an oven. If I put in cookie dough, I get out cookies. If the machine's a washing machine, I put in dirty clothes and I get out clean clothes. Now, if I put dirty clothes in the oven, all I'm gonna get is stinky, dry, dirty clothes. So your input has to go in your machine. So I'd like you to pause the video and think of some machines and what would go into the machine, and then what would be the output. So here's my thoughts on the matter. My machine, let's say, is a toaster. And what would go in a toaster? Bread. Bread goes in the toaster and you get out toast. I like toast. Now, what else is a machine? Oh, microwave. What do I put in microwave most of the time? Oh, I put in corn kernels. I was having a problem there. I was going to spell kernels with a C. I put the corn kernels in the microwave and I get out popcorn. What else? What's another machine that you use? Oh, I use my telephone all the time. And what do? I put in numbers. And what do I get out? Well, I get a lot of things. If I put in a phone number, I'm gonna get a phone call and I'll be able to talk to, say, my mommy. But I could put in, say, a code and get my text messages. So you put in numbers in a telephone, and what you usually get is a call or a message. Those are some kinds of machines. So what I have down here is my function rule machine. And here's my function rule, x plus 2. And I'm going to put some input. I have all different inputs here. And let's say I input a 1. Instead of x, I write a 1. And my rule is to add 2. Well, 1 plus 2 gives me an output of 3. Now let's say I input -4. And then I add 2. Well, -4 plus 2 is -2. I'm going to input 4. My machine says to add 2, and my output is 6. I'm going to input 0, add 2, and now I get 2. Is this relation a function? Well, I don't know. I have to look back at what is a function. Okay, that is all the way back here. and it says a function is a relation where the x does not repeat. So I have to look here and see. 1, -4, 4, 0. Hey, this relation is a function. And how do I know that? Because the x values do not repeat. The input, I'm going to use input because they use that word. I'm going to use input because the input, which is the same thing as the x values, does, and I think this is very important, so I'm going to write it in capital letters in red, does not repeat. So if the input does not repeat, then it is a function. So let's see what's on the next page. Here we go. Oh, wow. All different types of function. This first one is a table. 1, 3, 5. Is it a function? Yes. Why? The input does not repeat. Okay, and now I have a list of ordered pairs. So I'm looking at my set of ordered pairs, and let's see, 6, 3, 6, -2. I'm looking at just the x values. So I have here x is 6, x is 3, x is 6, x is -2. And darn it, if it doesn't repeat, here's a 6, and here's a 6. So is that a function? No. The x value 6 repeats. The input, I'll put little quotes around it, 6 repeats. Okay, let's look at this. What is this? Do you remember? Think about it. Look on the page before. What is that? Oh no, we can't remember. It's a mapping diagram. So let's look at the mapping diagram. And here's the input, 0. Oh, but 0 has -2 and 1. That's 1 input and 2 outputs. Well, that means it's not a function. Why? 1 input has 2 outputs. In other words, if I was going to write it as a list, it would say 0, -2, but it would also say 0, 1, from 0 to -2 and from 0 to 1. So in that case, I have a repeated input. So 1 input has too many outputs. Let's look at this one. This is another table. -1, 2, 4, 2. Oh, look at that. My x value repeats. Is this a function? No.
At this time, all students are dismissed.
The input 2 repeats. And if the input repeats, not a function. Oh, look at this. This is a graph. Let's pick some points on the graph and just write them down as coordinates. Because for me, it's easier to look at the coordinates. I did that up here with the machine, with the mapping diagram. I took the first input and I wrote out the 2 coordinates. I'm going to do the same here. I have this coordinate, which is nice. It's 1, -1. And I also have this coordinate, which is 1, -1. And I just realized I wrote -1 up here when that is +1. Silly, silly Bono. I should have stock in whiteout. This is 1, +1, and this is 1, -1, which means that it's not a function. No, the input 1 repeats. And if anything repeats, it's not a function. How about this one? Well, that's 6, -8, and that is 4, -4, and that is 0. That is, sorry, -2, 0, 4, 0. None of those repeat. Well, that's good. Is this a function? Yes. The x values do not repeat. Okay, so that's good. Let's take a look at the next page. A vertical line test. Okay, I want to do that on here. A vertical line is any of these lines. You see this line? That's a vertical line. This is a vertical line. Any line that goes up and down the page is a vertical line. Even the y-axis is a vertical line. And if I draw this vertical line, look, it intersects my relation, my graph, at 2 points. So the vertical line test says, I'm going to write it in blue. Here we go. If a vertical line intersects a graph at 2 or more points, comma, the graph is not a function. The relation is not a function. So let's draw some vertical lines and see if things are a function. Use the vertical line test to tell if each relation is a function. So I'm going to trace some of these vertical lines. So I like to start all the way to the left, and that is not intersecting any of the points. And that intersects 1 point, and that intersects 1 point, and this vertical line is intersecting 2 points, 1 here and 1 here. So this is not a function. And now I'm going to do it here. Well, I'm going to draw some lines. Here we go. This first line intersects it once, intersects once, intersects once, intersects once, intersects once, intersects once, and doesn't intersect anything. Okay, so this one is a function. This is a function because the vertical lines only intersect the graph once. All right, I want to make something clear before I go any further. The graph is either this line that's on the coordinate plane or these points that are on the coordinate plane. That's the graph. The background, the grid and the positive and negative numbers and the number lines that they're on, that's the coordinate plane. The graph is the thing that's drawn on the coordinate plane, or the points that are drawn on the coordinate plane. So if I'm down here, this squiggly line is the graph. The background is the coordinate plane. This line is the graph. The background is a coordinate plane. The circle is the graph. The background is a coordinate plane. So pause the video and answer these 3 problems, A, B, and C. Okay, so I'm going to come back and I'm going to try it. This time, I'm not going to draw the lines out. I'm just going to trace them. That does not even intersect it. That intersects it once. That intersects it once, 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 oh, only intersects once. That makes this a function. Okay, follow the lines down. You don't have to draw the lines, you don't have to trace them. Just have to follow the vertical lines and see if any of the vertical lines, none of those vertical lines intersect twice. So that is a function. But this one, if I draw, and if I trace any of the vertical lines, it intersects the graph twice. Look, it's intersecting it here and here. That means that this is not a function. Okay, well, good luck. The vertical line test is really very useful. But just remember, if the x value repeats, it's not a function. And if you're having problems with the vertical line test, you can always write out the coordinates. The vertical line test is a little easier, but the coordinates will tell you the same thing. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.